Everybody, practice number one. Everybody in the country is excited about practice number one. We're no different. A lot of pep in their step, so to speak, and that's the way it should be. We've got a beautiful day for football here in West Virginia, and guys are excited about being here. Got 105 healthy bodies that are about to go out there. We've got 3 or 4 of them that are on the shelf, and you can probably figure out who they are that won't be practicing. But overall, excited about getting started. Helmets only. It won't really resemble football, but anxious to at least get to see them run around and throw it and catch it and all that good stuff. Probably the thing I'm most excited about is 2 new quarterbacks that just showed up yesterday. So they're not going to know really what's going on, but anxious to see them throw it. Just anxious to see what they can do. So, what kind of questions we got?
What can you accomplish over the next couple of days?
Quite a bit. I mean, it's all, the installation thing. We had a very important, I thought we've had a great summer. I want to say that for, put that on the record. Mike Joseph and his staff did an unbelievable job. We have better bodies and better numbers. The strength and conditioning numbers are better than they've ever been, and it's not even close. So our guys they look good, they feel good. We spent 4 weeks with them in June, so we've already installed pretty much everything, whether it's offense, defense, special teams, most everything's installed. So just to get out there and execute, we got a lot of technique stuff that we got to work on, but to see the carryover from, having a lot of continuity with coaching staff, the 4th year in the defensive system, and then, you can say first year in the offensive system if you want to, but it's the same stuff that we've been doing over the course of the last 7 years. So a lot of continuity. Guys know what they're doing. They feel good. Just watch them execute and watch what kind of technique that they play with.
Anyway, this time of year, what's the difference between this club going into camp and last year's? And what do you see as the potential of this team? I don't mean how many wins, but what their potential is.
I think the potential is pretty good. I mean, you look at all the projections out there. We're supposed to stink, but I think we're in a pretty good spot. I think our depth is really good. Putting together our special team stuff, we got a lot to choose from. So our depth is really good. We've been building this team to the point to where our second team guys look just like our first team guys. So I like the aspect of continuity. I like the aspect of depth. My job is to get their morale high, which I think is good right now. But over the course of 5 weeks, I got to keep it high and continue to move it forward.
You said some of the guys were on the shelf. Anybody long term you worried about?
No, there's a couple of walk-ons that weren't projected to play, and then the 2 knee guys, David Long and Butch Grossi, are way ahead of schedule. Whether they miss 1 game to 4 games, we're going to get them back pretty quick. So, they're doing what they're supposed to. We'll have a full roster come Big 12 time.
Trayvon 100%?
Yeah, he looks great. Has been.
Tweaking
Had a great summer.
Tweaking the offense now that you and Jake had the spring to look at it, and many changes, or is it you going status quo with what you did in the
Coach,
spring?
I can't tell you that.
Well, you don't have to tell us what you're doing. You just say,
yeah,
no, we
there's going to be
changed
changes.
everything.
We change things every year. We tweak things every year. Having Jake's take on some different things is going to mean we're probably going to tweak a few things more than we have in the past. The base nuts and bolts of what we do is not different, but it's fun to be able to, do some different things that, we've done that every year, but this is probably a little bit more than normal just based on the fact that he's kind of done his own thing for 4 years and brought some things that I thought have been very creative. We got a different type quarterback this year than we had last year, so that's going to change things. It's been fun to watch him progress. I haven't really seen him with the ball since the spring game. We worked with them a little bit in June. I hear they're a lot more familiar and comfortable with what we're doing. I'm excited about watching it. It's the first time I've seen it since y'all watched the spring game.
Have you figured out what you're going to do with Long's that position?
Yeah. One, we'll be excited to get our best player back, but that gives guys like Dylan Tockery an opportunity to step in there. He tested out as an elite player, and I mean he don't look anywhere like he did a year ago. You know, he redshirted a year ago. He looks like a completely different guy. Smart like Wes was, but physically he's already better than Wes ever could imagine to be. So he looks good right now at Will. You know, we got a bunch of young kids that we're going to continue to look at. Who knows how those other guys have developed. You know, Ferns looks great. I mean, he tested out elite. I've never had two redshirt freshmen that tested out elite. Jacob Long, corner, redshirt freshman, tested out elite as well. So, you know, that's why I can't give Mike Joseph and his staff enough credit. They've done a great job. They've had 9 great weeks to get these guys in really, really, really good shape.
Feel better about backup center? I know you were concerned about that in the spring.
Rollerson has had a really good summer. Bosch has been snapping there some. And then we'll get Butchie Grossi back as well. So, you know, that gives you 4 guys that can potentially snap. You know, and Matt's doing really well.
You mentioned something tongue-in-cheek about fighting Jake on some of the inside receivers and the body types. How much fun has it been talking with him and this summer about those kind of things? And obviously you respect his opinion probably a little bit more than you did 3 or 4 years ago as far as his ability to persuade you on certain things.
I don't know if I truly understand the question, but I like those body types, the bigger type guys. You know, Sills can play inside, outside. You know, Drew Bowen, the kid from GW, he's a big, thick kid that can be really physical. Gary's big and physical. You know, there's the what's his name? The Rice transfer, Nate Gorman, German, right? Okay, I can't remember how to pronounce it. But first time we've seen him, and he's a 6'2", 210-pound kid that looks really good. So those are the body types that we're looking for. You know, Kennedy can play the inside receiver spot probably as good as any of them. He gives you a little bit more juice. Tevin can play that inside receiver spot. You know, David's kind of the guy, Gary's the guy, but we got plenty of options behind him.
Hard for the new quarterback, Israel, to make a push when he's just getting here now.
He doesn't know what we call inside zone, which is the easiest thing we do, 12 and 13. He doesn't know which way is which. I mean, it's not his fault. He just got here. But we have to bring him along. He's our third-team guy right now. I mean, he's got a red shirt. In a perfect world, with, you know, Will and Chugs can handle the position this year, and then he can red shirt along with Jack, and you let those guys develop. You know, hopefully we're not in that position, but we got to bring him along, which means we got to force feed him reps. Jake's going to have to meet with him as much as he possibly can to get him in a position to be able to do it.
Dana, you've mentioned a couple of times now about having the 5 weeks to get the team through. Does that change the way you've laid out your practice schedule any?
It does, and it's going to be tough, man. I've never had 5 weeks. I mean, last year we had 4 and, you know, 4 plus 2 days, and I was like, God, I don't know what I'm going to do with them there. It's something that we're going to have to be creative with. Now, they're going to have a day off, you know, in camp. That's never happened before, so they're going to have, and I've made a big deal with them about this morning when we met with them, that you're going to have more rest and relaxation time. You know, camp's going to be camp. It's going to be hard, but the thing about it is going to be long. So we got to be creative on keeping their attention. You know, I think this is the only year that we're going to have to deal with this. I think they'll scale it back, and it'll be a 4-week camp next year. But this year we got to deal with them.
New comers, have you had any chance to evaluate any of those kids in, you know, just in strength and conditioning work, and your thoughts on some of those guys?
None.
No. Wait till they get out here.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how else to do it. You know, I mean, you know, the strength and conditioning aspect of it, you can learn a little bit about them, but, you know, until they get out there and do some things, you can't. I prefer not to comment on it.
Without 2 days, do 1 days become harder?
Longer. Yeah, the 2-a-days, and shoot, even back in the day where we had 3-a-days, I mean, those practices were anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour and a half. You know, now, you know, I worry about their legs and keeping them fresh, but, you know, we're going to be out here for 2.5, 3 hours. You know, I won't really worry about getting their legs and all that stuff until we work the mock week prior to the game. So we got work to do. We're going to get out there and we're going to do it.
What about their concentration? That's going to be important, right? Because of long practices.
Yeah. Well, we trick them. They've been in there for an hour, and they just think practice has started. All right, everybody good? All right, let's go watch them a little bit.